Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. I'm here to talk a little bit more about the video and the fallout and the responses and some DMs and some conversations I've had in the last 12 hours. All right, so let's just dive right into it. Hit that subscribe button. By the way, congratulations, name on screen, winner of the Goat Lane Kicks. Send me a DM on Instagram and we will get you hooked up with a pair of whatever Goat Lane shoes you want off their site. So in the last I guess 24 hours since the Carter video, since the Instagram post, the reel, and then the comments and the Steve response, and the video I made yesterday, which got a lot more hype, and yeah, there's been a lot of conversations going on, and I've gotten a lot of DMs. I've gotten a lot of people sending me, basically everyone who's ever had beef with like anyone in Good or Steve or any comments or back and forth, they've all sent stuff to me, and it's kind of funny. We're gonna dive into it. Let's chat about just the general concept of the Steve and Carter match, because that's one that you guys there's a lot of comments on yesterday's video. I see both sides. There was a lot of people who were like, listen, this guy, I don't like this guy, Carter, I don't like this guy, you know, he's not gonna, you know, he's not someone who I want to see in this light, he's not blah blah blah. The haters of Carter are definitely there, and we've talked about that, but that's part of his shtick. That's part of his like infamy, I guess, is he has these people behind him that love him, but he also has these people that don't, and playing off those is part of the reason why this guy has so much hype around him. Like, it's part of the reason why he's getting the attention from these other creators. Like, if he wasn't doing something right, he wouldn't be getting this attention. But I think a lot of people's criticism is like, why would you highlight this guy? Like, this guy hasn't built what these other creators have built. He's definitely not on the same level as Good. And I agree with that. And I think it's the conversation of like platforming someone or whatever, but I believe he's done enough. And the reason why I believe that is because I've had, like I said, in the last 24 hours, like in the thumbnail, like whatever, I've had a lot of smaller channels and golf groups and whatever, and not trying to necessarily give hate to them. I'm not going to name them because my opinions are on the concepts are probably not what they want me to have as opinions, and so I'm just going to let sleeping dogs rest in that. But I've had a lot of things sent to me of like people who are trying to do the same thing, who are trying to use some level of like drama or whatever to create this controversy and then, you know, get a match with Good or whatever it is. And it's not just one person or one group. There's multiple things sent to me in the last little bit. But the point is that, yeah, of course, Good would ignore, and although they might respond to comments and whatever, like there's no reason why Good, a big brand, this is another thing we saw a lot in the comments yesterday, is like Good is a big entity, they're a big brand, they're a massive thing, they're not going to stoop to the level of blah to, you know, do something like this. Like, they're above that, they don't need to do it, whatever. And I agree with that 99.99% of the time. But the reason why I like this Carter one is because I do think he's pushed himself past just like an internet troll level. I think he's pushed himself past like something that can just be ignored or toyed with. I think he very much is becoming like a presence in this space. And it's early, and the dude still definitely has a lot to prove, and there's definitely a lot more development and time to come. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm sitting here like necessarily his biggest fan on planet Earth. Like, I like the guy, but I'm not, you know, whatever. I still am waiting to see kind of how he develops and goes forward. But to this point, I think he's earned the ability to have collaborations with Grant, to have collaborations with Micah, to do things like this. I think his channel is just as big, if not bigger in some metrics, than like a Busted Jack. So a match of him versus Mason could make a lot of sense. It could make a lot of sense for both parties. It could definitely be something that drums up a lot of hype and creates a lot of interest in the space. And at the end of the day, like, that's what we need. Like, if there is not things going on, if there is not interest, if there is not like pop and punch and whatever, even just like simple, like the last month for all creators has been lower views on average than they were getting in the months before. And that's because, for the most part, 90% of the world isn't golfing, or 90%, that might be a big percent. A lot of North America, 90% of North America is not golfing right now. It's like the southern states only, maybe a little bit more than 90%, but Canada is part of North America. So my math might be off here, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's winter in a lot of parts of the world, and there's a lot of people that aren't golfing, so there's a lot less people tuning into YouTube golf. So everyone's views have been down a little bit. But me personally, I post that Carter interview and he has that call out, and then I make that video, and all of a sudden I have a video that's like going off way more than I've had go off in the last couple months, and more people are pulled back into the ecosystem because there's something interesting happening and something interesting going on. And I think that level of excitement is something we want to keep in this community as long and as much as possible, because that level of hype is what keeps people engaged. It's what keeps this whole thing growing. It's what, will grow it even bigger. And so I get the argument that Good doesn't need this, and they obviously don't. They definitely don't. But I do think that these types of things with the right people, which I do think Carter right now represents what could be a right person, like just the perfect balance of like, that kind of like internet kind of like, I don't want to call him a troll, but like, that kind of thing where he's like poking the bear and whatever and getting the drama and whatever. But he's also like proven himself enough and been around like long enough now that I think he has like earned it on some level. And I just think that it's a perfect storm. That's why I'm a fan of this. I think a lot of people were wondering like why I'm championing this, because again, like I talked about, I've gotten so many like things about people calling out Good or calling out this person or calling out that person, and them not putting on a match and whatever. And like 99% of the time it's like, well, it would make no sense. Like, I'm sorry, but like nobody knows who you are, and like that's just not that even if there's drama, it's not going to matter. But Carter is at the right size, in my opinion, at the right like level that it would actually create a lot of hype in the community, and it could actually create a lot of interest and a lot of pull. So that's why I'm in support of this. That's why I'm kind of a fan of this. And I know, like I said, there were a lot of questions and comments in the video yesterday, so I kind of wanted to address it. There were a lot of you guys, like I said, sending me stuff and asking me questions. So that's my general take on it and why I do think it could be worth the time. Do I think we're actually going to see it? Unfortunately, I'm going to go with no. I think if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet $5,000 a hole on anything, but I would bet a good amount of money that probably it's not going to happen. And it's not, I don't necessarily think either one of their faults. Like, they're both busy, they both got schedules, whatever, but I would love to see it happen, and I think it definitely should, and I think it's in both their best interest to do it. But I think, if history is any predictor of the future, typically stuff like this just kind of fizzles out and like doesn't really. But I'm hopeful, and I think if we as a community champion enough, you never know what could happen. I think it'd be great for the space. I think it'd be extremely entertaining. I think things like this have a place. I don't want them to be the mainstay of YouTube golf, but I think they have a place, and I think this is a perfect storm where this could be very entertaining. But let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. I wanted to wrap it all up because there was a lot of conversation after yesterday's video. So with that, I'll see you in the next one.